Okay, so we're into part three of building backend for gyms, personal trainers, whoever, coaches. My name is Ryan Kennedy. I'm a gym owner for the past about a year now. And getting into this next thing, so I'm going to recap a little bit of what we've done so far. So the first video that we did, create a client roster. This makes sure that every client name is the same across the board wherever it goes. We can always just reference the client list that is a named range. So we call it client roster. Again, you may have named it something different, but we call it client roster. This just doesn't work anymore. Just playing with something. Get rid of that. So now, what's important that we didn't do in the exercise library video is we also need to create a name range for the exercises themselves. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a range in make sure it says in exercise library. If your exercises start in the column A, if you followed the last video, then we want to make sure that it is A2 because we start our exercises in the second row because the top one is the headers with the titles. Colon, A, enter. And that's going to make sure that all the exercises that we put in here are part of this named range. We just have to name it. So we're going to call this exercise library. One word. Done. So now that's going to give us a reference point, which is going to make more sense in a minute with the next thing that we're going to build today. So what we're building today is the actual weight backend. So we're going to make a new sheet. We're going to rename this weight data. Again, name it whatever you want, but make sure that you name it something that is not incredibly long because you would use it potentially in formulas going forward to reference the things in the sheet. So now headers, we're going to bold them. We're going to color them something. We're going to start here. So we're going to start with name. So this is a client name. You can say client name or name. And for us, we call them movements generally. That's just language that we use. We say movement, this is or exercise, whatever. Then it will be weight. You can also put load. It will be reps. And you could have this be more complicated if you use different types of matches every exercise that you're going to do if you want to categorize everything and record everything that you do. For us, I don't see a lot of value, at least right now, in doing much of the stuff that's unloaded. So I also would say for reps, so say we do like a suitcase carry and it's for yards, which is something we do. I'm just going to put 15 in reps because we don't do anything different, so it doesn't matter to us. But if you want to be super specific with data, that's totally fine. And you can just add whatever you want because you don't have to keep every row or column like filled in. So I could have yards here and we put an exercise and I could put 15 yards and leave reps blank and that's totally fine. It'll know what to look up if we ever use it in the future. So for now, we're just going to keep it simple, keep it with reps. I'm going to put the data in. And then for my purposes, because I'm interested in understanding, some of the tempo work that we do and seeing if we can really relate it to other things, because I don't think anyone has a very good exhaustive list of tempo data and to be able to compare it to other exercises that the same people have done. So I'm going to have the concentric tempo. That's going to be in seconds. Isometric tempo. That's going to be in seconds. And eccentric tempo. That's going to be in seconds. You can, if this is something that you measure, put the RPE in. I'm saying it's optional just because we don't do it. But if we know for sure that something wasn't really hard, 1 rep max, like 3 rep max, something like that, we can always put that in for further reference going forward. So now we're going to make a couple of these. Put this, center it. We're going to slide out the name or slide out the movement so that we can see the full name of everything. Now, what we want to do is use those named ranges that we had. So if we're going to go into data, named ranges, we're going to see that we have client roster, we have exercise library, right? The thing when we enter weight data, we want to make sure that the same exercise is used. So we can't say split squat and also say split squats with an S at the end, a plural, because those are two totally different movements to anything that is going to read this in the future. So that's why we made the exercise library where this is the exercise. This is split squat. I'm not going to type this in differently because what I'm going to do is limit its ability to be incorrect. If this does not exactly match something in here, it won't work, which is a good thing as long as you have the exercise library and your client roster in good places. So movement, we'll start in name actually. So we're going to go here, data validation, add a rule, and we're starting in A2 of weight data. A2 to A, because you want this to go all the way down. Drop down, we're going to do drop down from range. And all we're going to type in here is client roster. Press enter. That's always going to autofill to the entire thing that exists in the name range client roster, which we defined as column A or whatever in client roster, which means that every time I add a new name, it's going to pop up here, which is great. So it auto updates over time. All I have to do is update my client roster, and that's it. Same thing with exercises, you're going to see in a minute. And again, for me, prefer the arrow. Prefer the arrow. Make sure you do not have allow multiple selections on if you haven't chosen arrow, because we only want one client to be able to be put in each row. Press done. Now, I have a drop down. It's going to be those names from my client roster here. I can only select that thing. And also if I get it wrong, so if I say Ryan Kennedy, I like is you can type in it and it'll autocorrect. So I can just say, if there's only one, starting with R tab, and it just auto inputs it. I can also have it finish itself if I know. Okay. Next, same data validation, add a rule for the exercises. Drop down from range, make sure this goes all the way down to B. Not equals, exercise library. Enter. All the way down, right? It has all the exercises that exist in the exercise library, which is great. Arrow. I want to be clear about where we're getting this from. The reason that we can say equals exercise library, and we can say equals client roster is because data, named ranges, we defined these as terms, variables, whatever you want to call it. Okay? If you did not define them that, or you got the name wrong, spelled it wrong, case wrong, space in between, it won't work. Make sure that the name ranges exist and are the same. Now, this is going to show us all possible exercises that we have available. Split squat, great. Trap bar, great. Payloff, great. So on and so forth. Fantastic. So we can delete these. I'd just like to show, we have 3 names there. Let's go to client roster. We're going to add a name. We're going to just say Henry, Henry Hill. Henry Hill now exists. You don't even have to put in this information because it's only referencing here. Henry Hill now exists in the list. Okay, updates instantly. Fantastic. Delete it. Same thing with the exercise library. Let's add another exercise. Let's say barbell RDL. Great. Go to weight data. Does it exist now? It does. So let's talk about some formatting now. These cannot be spelled wrong. Split squats. Problem. Fantastic. It can't be spelled wrong. This is good. After we finish, with the movement, and we add that data validation, we make sure it works, we can add exercises to check, we're going to move into formatting a couple things. So we're going to select the whole column. Press C. Control click. What we can do here, go to format, go to number. We can allow it to only do certain things. We can allow it to only round if that's something we care about. It will normally be on automatic. We can allow it to round. We can allow it plain text, which means that it's not going to mess with anything that we do. The important thing here is, what are your rules? If you always want it to round, then we want to make sure one point two. It'll go in. I want to be able to say 11.2345, whatever. It's going to just auto round to 11.2. But you can, just to specify here, go custom number format, and then you can define how many decimal places you want it to do. So I can say 0.000, and it'll allow that many decimals. I don't care about that. So I'm selecting this, and I want to make sure that this is just number format. So automatic is fine. Okay. And that's going to allow as many digits as I want if I really want to get specific for some reason. Obviously, I probably won't use it past one decimal, but I will with some things like a PR on any lift with bench press. 112.5 is a PR past 112. I care about that. And with dumbbell work, we use a lot of like half pounders and stuff like that. I care about that a lot. So I want to make sure that stays like that. And we're going to go column D, reps. I don't know if there's a use case where we would use a decimal. Could be wrong. But if you want to avoid mistakes, and you know that there's probably not a use case, 0. We're just going to make sure that there's no decimal. So if I put in 11.5, it's going to round to 12. I just, however many afterwards, it's going to round to the number. That's just how I prefer it. Date. Again, we did this in the client roster, if you guys remember, date of birth. We want to make sure that it autocorrects to the appropriate format of date so it stays consistent across the board. Select E, control click on date. That'll unselect that. We're going to format, number, date. I type in January 1, 2026. Okay? Autocorrect to that. I can also do this. I'm going to do the same way. I can do this. The same way. Okay? That's just all stuff that we care about being consistent across the board. Concentric, isometric, eccentric, you can do the same thing. I'm going to control click on all of these columns here, and I'm going to unselect concentric, isometric, eccentric. Again, I should never see a point anything. I'm going to go format, number, 0. RPE, we will use points sometimes. If you want to be really specific and you want to have 2 decimals, that's cool. For me, I'm never going to use 2 decimals. I'm going to yell at a client that does that. Number, 0.0. Going to round it 2 decimals. 7.56, excuse me, 7.56, go to 7.6. 7.5, 7. I want to keep that. It'll also be 7, 7.0. Okay? So, now from here, let's fill out a couple. Let's just show how it works. So we're going to use me as an example. Ryan, tab, split squat. We did the other day. We used 120 pounds. We did 10 reps. The date was, what was yesterday? 1/19/2026. The tempo was 1:01, normal tempo. RPE, 8. Done. I want to share a quick tip. If you're entering stuff manually, when you type in something and you press tab to finish it, puts you in the next column. Type in something here, trap bar, tab to finish it. Type in something here, 150, tab to finish it. 5 reps, tab to finish it. 120, 2026, tab to finish it. 1, 2, 3, even though that doesn't even make any sense. 9. You press enter. It will return you to the first place that you tabbed from on the next row. So this is going to return me to A4 right now. Okay? I just upkeyed on accident. But so say for example we start somewhere else and I click on it. Start here 120, 3. And then I go here 121.26. It's tomorrow. Enter. It's going to return me to that same place that I started in that I tabbed from. So that what that means, when you're going through and doing a ton of stuff, and for us, we do everything at the end of the program. We just do the best set for everybody because that's the only day that matters when we do our max percentages to assign weights afterwards. What we do is I use a sheet at a time. So I'm doing all of my stuff, all Ryan Kennedy stuff. So I'm just going to do that. I'm put that in. I'm going to click on movement because that's the thing that's going to change the whole time. And I'm going to type in what I'm looking at. Split squat, doing 100, doing 8. And because the date is the same, the tempo is probably the same across the program, I'm just going to press enter from here, enter in some stuff, and keep doing that. I don't even know what exercises we have available here. 8, 8, enter, and keep going from there. So it goes tab, tab, enter. Wherever you started tabbing from, it will return you to that place, the next row down, when you press enter. Hopefully that makes sense. And what I do afterwards is I copy the tempo and I just select where I want to put it and put it down after I'm done with everybody. Same thing with the name. It's so much easier. Okay. So I would do all the Ryan Kennedys, all of their lifts, all of my lifts for the month, go straight down and just copy and paste my name after I did this all the way down. Do that for all the clients. And then after, because we put everything in on the same date, copy and paste this, go straight down with it. Okay? So far so good. That is the back end for the weight data. We forgot to do one thing. Select the row at the top. We're going to go to format. I forget now. Hello? Yeah. View. Freeze. Row 1. Okay. Sorry. Brain fog for a second there. Froze for row 1. What does that do? I scroll down, I'm still going to see those columns because someday you're going to be down in the depths of thousands, which my current back end we've only had like 10 programs of the month for each exercise for each client that has weight with it. So if you run some big facilities, get some interns to do that for you because it's going to take a while. But once you get going, you get in a flow, you're looking down. If you can type about looking at it, it's fantastic. All right. So that's the weight data backend. Building this so that we can then use it for the future of picking and assigning weights based on the date, the exercise, the load, the reps, and even the tempo based on the person. So I could just, the goal at some point is to be able to be like Ryan Kennedy's trap bar deadlift, 1 rep max, estimated, whatever, equals 150 divided by 0.85. It's 5 reps? I think so. Yeah. No. 88. 88. Sorry. Enter. 171 rep max. Now, can we use that and put that into our sheet to then put a percentage off of? So equals this times, I'm doing 8.8. Just do 136 for 8, 135. Then round it, right? I can do equals M round, parentheses, this. I think it's comma 5. Yeah, rounds to the nearest 5, parentheses, 135. That's just like a super small example of how things would work going forward in a different sheet, but on a much larger scale where you just type in the name or you copy and paste your list of names that you're printing out and it just searches your database and is like, here are the weights. Okay. So for now, this is where we pause. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to build the conditioning backend, if you care about that. So a place where you can pick your conditioning modalities, etc. Effort, reps, sets, amount of time, mileage, meters, whatever. Until then, we'll see you.